Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 6th of July 2022. So let us quickly look into the most important articles for the day. Okay, so today I have listed these articles as important for the day. So we are going to look into these articles one by one. So the first article says a matter of import. So this article is relevant from Indian economy perspective. So it is important for the prelims exam and also for the mains exam. In this article, we will understand the concepts of trade deficit and current account deficit, and we will understand its effects on any economy like India. After then, the second topic, it is like Indian rupee hits record low on current account deficit concerns. Okay. So in this article, we are going to understand about how rupee and dollar are playing the role. I mean, like, what is the relation between them, why rupee is getting depreciated, on quarterly basis regularly. So we are going to look into these articles, and we will also understand about like what different organizations have predicted about the depreciation trend in Indian INR, like Indian rupee. Then the next topic is, in this topic we are going to understand about Sweden and Finland. Okay, so these are two Scandinavian countries. So these two countries are are going to join NATO. NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So we will understand about the role that NATO plays in global peacekeeping, and also we will understand about the current status of these two countries that are going to join the NATO. And apart from this, the next topic that we are going to understand is related to Fields Medal. So Fields Medal is a medal that is given to mathematicians under the age of 40 years. We will understand that field medals are similar to Nobel Prize in mathematics. So we will understand about this particular article in detail. So this is something related to international relations. Okay. Sometimes UPSC asks factual questions. So this will help you to answer those questions. After then we are going to look into another topic that says center asks states to boost paddy sowing. Okay. So we will understand about what is the importance of paddy in Indian economy, alright, and why center has asked the states to boost the paddy sowing. Paddy means dhan in Hindi. Okay. So center has asked states to sow more dhan, like more paddy, that leads to production of rice. All right. So the next topic is related to tuberculosis. So we are going to understand about how to control the prevalence of tuberculosis in India. We are going to understand about some of the programs that were monitored by the World Health Organization. We will compare the status of prevalence of TB and also the HIV/AIDS, and we will understand about three important flaws in the current TB elimination strategy or program that India is currently running. Okay. So with this, let us look into the first article. Okay. So this article is important from the viewpoint of Indian economy. Alright. This is important for GS paper 3 of the mains exam, and also important for the prelims exam under general studies paper. Alright. So in this article, let us understand about a matter of import. A specter of wider trade and current account deficit is dragging the rupee down. Alright. So here let us understand what do we mean by trade deficit. Trade deficit means, let's consider India being an economy, right? It exports some of the items that it produces in surplus, and at the same time it imports some other goods and services that is in deficiency in India. So when the exports, when the volume or the value of exports is lower than the value of imports, in that case, like we have trade surplus or current account surplus. But like it happens, if it happens in the reverse case, when the exports, okay, when the exports are lower and value of imports are higher, okay, when the value of imports are higher, it will lead to something that is known as trade deficit. Okay. When exports are lower and imports, value of exports is low and value of imports is high, means like when we do export, so we receive money, all right. When we do import, we have to give money to people, right. When we are importing more, so we have to give more money. So like, there will be a trade deficit, and this trade deficit will lead to current account deficit, all right. Trade deficit means like, value of export is lower than the value of import. Then current account deficit means like when we talk about in accounting terms, we are importing more, all right, and we are exporting less. So the thing is like the current account that the government of India maintains, it is in deficit, okay. So this article talks about these two issues specifically, like, why trade deficit is happening, what is leading to the current account deficit. So here, like if we talk about India, so like we have 10 major exporting items. Out of the 10 items, like, we have seen a downfall in the export of 4 important items. Like what are those items? One of the thing is engineering good, second is cotton yarn, then drugs and pharma. So these are some of the major exporting material for India. Like we produce them in surplus and we export them, right? And after exporting, we receive money, right, in terms of dollar or in terms of, other currencies. So here, like we have recently seen that these export items, like, the volume or the value of like export in these items has gone down. And not only this thing, the value of import on some of the like goods and services or material has, gone up. Means like we are importing more. What are the things that like we are importing more? If we talk about coal, right? So coal imports has, increased, like it has gone up to 242% year on year. Means like on a year on year basis, like we are seeing 2.5% hike or like 2.5% increase in the import of coal, right? So the thing is, let's consider like in 2019, I'm just giving it as an example. Let's say in 2019 we have imported 1 million ton of coal, right? In 2020, means like next year, 2019 to 20 or 2021 to 22, okay, next year, let's say like we are importing instead of 100 million tons, we are importing 250 million tons, okay. So we are importing more. If we are importing more, we have to pay more money, right? So that's the thing. So coal imports are going up, and apart from this, petroleum inflows are also up. Means like, crude oil or other varieties of petroleum products that we are importing, it has gone up by 94.2%. Means like we are importing these things on a very high basis, like we are importing them more. So that is leading to trade deficit, and it is also leading to current account deficit. All right. So with this, let us see some other part of the same discussion. So now this thing is leading to, some other situations as well, okay. When we are importing more, when we are exporting less, so generally, because of the demand supply, I mean like, dynamics in the market, because of the demand supply dynamics, what is happening, the value of rupee is depreciating. So it is we are seeing weakening of the rupee, okay. We are seeing weakening of the rupee, means the value of rupee per dollar is going down. Means like we have to pay more rupee to get same dollar. For example, just before 6 or 7 months, we could see that like $1 was equivalent to 75 rupee. But if we see now, $1 is equivalent to 79.37 rupee. It means like we have to pay more rupee, we have to give more money, more Indian currency to purchase $1, all right, for exchange of $1 with rupee, okay. So like it is leading to depreciation of rupee, okay. So now here they have mentioned that robust forex reserves, notwithstanding the persistent outflows of foreign capital from the financial markets, have triggered concerns about the balance of payment situation. Now let us understand this particular sentence. Here they are saying that like because of uncertainties in various economies around the world, like investors from abroad, they are now preferring to, you know, take back their capital. So whatever money that they have invested earlier in Indian economy, now they are taking back their money. The foreign institutional investors, foreign portfolio investors, all of these people are taking away money from Indian economy, okay. So earlier they had invested, now they are, you know, pulling out their money. So it is leading to, I mean, like, you know, it is leading to a situation where people are apprehensive about like whether the balance of payment situation will be there in Indian economy, right. Balance of payment means like we will be having lesser forex reserves for sustaining imports for let's consider month or 2 months. We had similar situation in 1991, where like we were left for about a week or 15 days of forex reserves, you know, so that like, you know, we could import for next 7 days or 15 days like, you know, to import the things. So that was a very critical situation, and that time like we were helped or assisted by the International Monetary Fund, okay. So this has happened then, and similar situation is happening with Sri Lanka now. So Sri Lanka is facing a current account deficit. It has sought help from the International Monetary Fund, and International Monetary Fund is in consultation with, you know, the officials in Sri Lanka. So very soon like they may see some help from the International Monetary Fund, and like, you know, they may do structural changes in their economy also. But like if we talk about Indian economy, recently like we have seen data from the Reserve Bank of India, the Apex Bank, okay. So it conducts, you know, multiple surveys, and it comes up with, you know, multiple reports on bi-monthly basis or bi-annual basis. And so in those reports it has mentioned that like even if recessionary pressures are there, Indian banks are like infused with sufficient capital that they will be able to withstand any kind of, you know, recessionary pressure in the near term. All right. So with this, let us move to the next topic. The next topic is also very similar to the previous topic that we have understood. In this topic, they have mentioned that Indian rupee hits record low on current account deficit concerns. It means that like current account deficit is going up, and it has led to rupee getting depreciated. It means like current account deficit means like first trade deficit happens, it leads to current account deficit, and the concerns related to current account deficit, you know, weakens the rupee. The rupee gets depreciated in terms of dollar. All right. So this article is trying to like portray that particular picture to us. So let us understand. It says the Indian rupee hit a record low against the US dollar on Tuesday as concerns of a wider current account deficit came to the forefront after the country's trade deficit hit an all-time high in June. Okay. So like we had all-time high trade deficit in the month of June. Okay. So that's why, you know, the current account deficit concerns are leading to, you know, weakening of rupee. The value of rupee is going down. Okay. So they have given multiple data points to, I mean, like, you know, like analyze this particular thing. So analysts and economists are expecting the country's current account deficit to widen to about 3.2% of GDP in the fiscal year 2023 compared to 1.2% in 2022. Okay, so if we talk about current account deficit, like, you know, as a percentage of GDP, so in 2022 it was 1.2%, but in 2023 it may increase to about 3.2%. Okay, it may go, I mean, multifold. Okay, so current account deficit may increase still further. Apart from this, they have mentioned that we expect India's widening current account deficit to remain an ongoing drag for INR. So they are saying like if the current account deficit keeps on increasing, right, it will lead to continuously, you know, like depreciation of rupee. So with the increase in current account deficit, the value of rupee will keep on going. Okay. So the more current account deficit happens, the more, I mean, like value of rupee will go down. So there is a direct relationship between current account deficit and rupee, I mean, depreciation. All right. So with this, now let us look into the next topic. So this is the third article for the day. In this article, we will understand about NATO. NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is an intergovernmental organization, okay. It is a security alliance. Security alliance means the partner countries, okay, the countries that have joined this particular organization, that have joined for mutual security interest. Mutual security interest means they want to safeguard their country from any foreign invasion or from any foreign attack. So like if we see the that particular document, right, that has the constituent documents of this particular organization, which is NATO. The constituent documents have multiple articles. The article 5 of the document talks about collective security. So what do we mean by collective security? So in that article they have mentioned that an attack on any one of us will be considered an attack on all of us, alright, or a threat to attack on any of one of us will be considered a threat to attack on all of us, and we will together retaliate, okay. It means like if we talk about like in the NATO, if there are 30 members, so if someone or some country tries to attack on any one of those countries, then that particular country will be supported by 29 other countries, okay. So all these countries will come together to fight against the common common enemy, all right. So this is what puts like weight to NATO. So this is something that that is important for NATO. So NATO earlier had 30 members, but these two countries like Sweden and Finland, these are Scandinavian countries, so these two countries have sent proposals to join the NATO, and so their proposals have been accepted by all the 30 members, okay. So all the 30 existing members, they have signed the accession protocol for Finland and Sweden. So after accession, signing of the accession protocol, now Finland and Sweden will be allowed to participate in all the meetings of NATO. They will be allowed to participate in all the meetings of NATO. But the thing is, along with the signing, okay, so like the accession protocol has been signed by all the 30 existing members. But the thing is, these existing members will have to ratify this particular agreement. Ratify means they have to pass a law in their own country in that effect. Once they pass that law, only after then NATO will become these two countries will become a full member of NATO, okay. These two countries will become full member of NATO, and only after that, okay, Article 5 will be applicable to these two countries also. Article 5 means the collective security clause will be applicable to these two countries like Sweden and Finland. Means like after then these two countries will be protected by the NATO security alliance, and as of now the NATO member countries are not going to send any additional force to safeguard the borders of Sweden and Finland, okay. So the NATO has given a statement that as of now these two countries are heavily guarded by their own forces, and their own forces are effectively capable of maintaining the integrity, the security concerns in their country. They will be able to maintain that peace, okay. So they are not under any kind of imminent threat, okay. So this is all about this particular article. So we have understood about NATO. NATO is one of the most prestigious and one of the most dedicated international organizations, okay. So it is a what we say multilateral organization. So multiple countries are part of it. We can say it to be an international group, okay, or international or intergovernmental organization, because the members of these particular organizations are governments of various countries, okay. So now, this is all about this particular thing, but apart from this there is a concern also, because Turkey has given warning to these two countries like Sweden and Finland, because Sweden and Finland had earlier promised to Turkey that they are going to act in certain manners so that the common enemy of Turkey and these two countries can be pushed away, right. So you can read that particular thing now, but these two countries have not yet walked on their promise. So Turkey is saying that you should first uphold your promise, and only then, like, we are going to ratify your like your addition in the NATO. Okay, so Turkey is also a member of NATO. All right, why? Because it is a West Asia, like it is a West Asian as well as European country. So with this, let us move to the next topic. This is again a very important topic. Why it is important? Because like in this article we are going to understand about the Fields medal. Okay, so we will understand what do we mean by Fields medal. So Fields medal is a medal that is given to mathematicians who are under the age of 40. All right, Field medals are considered equivalent to Nobel Prize in mathematics. So it means that Field medals are very prestigious medals, and this year the Fields medal was given to 4 people, and among the 4 people, one of the person belongs to Ukraine. Okay, Ukraine, a country that is undergoing some war like situation with Russia. Okay, so that's why this particular article has got this highlight that like women mathematician from Ukraine wins Field medal. I mean, like someone from Ukraine wins the Field medal. So we are going to understand about like what is Field medal. We have understood, and like why people are being given Field medals. See, Field medals are given once every 4 years. Okay, so it is given at an interval of every 4 years. Means like let's consider it is given in 2022. Next time it will be given in 2026. Next time it will be given in 2030. So it happens after every 4 years. And so like who are those people who have received the this particular medal, which is Fields medal? One of the person is Ukrainian mathematician. Her name is Marina Vyazovska. Okay, Marina Vyazovska. Second person is Hugo Dominic Koplin. Okay. Third person is June Hu of Princeton. Okay. Then fourth person is James Maynard. Okay. So these are the 4 people who have been awarded this particular prestigious Fields medal. Okay. And if we talk about these women like from Ukraine, so she holds the chair in number theory in the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne. And so this particular Fields medal is being awarded by an organization that is known as the International Mathematical Union. Okay, it is awarded by the International Mathematical Union. So that's why it is important. I mean, like this is a very factual information, but it also highlights the grim picture that is happening in Ukraine. So this lady, while she was receiving the award, she has mentioned that like during the war time, she was undergoing a huge change in her mental peace. Why? Because the thing is, what has happened, like in a war-torn country, like people forget everything. They just want to, be peaceful. They want to avoid any kind of conflict. Okay, same situation was going with her. And at the same time, when she was going for teaching, okay, when she was teaching, so during the teaching time, she could focus on the teaching, and she was away from all the kind of pressures, problems that is happening to her life. Okay, so this is the thing. Now if we talk about this Fields medal, the Fields medal is awarded every 4 years to mathematicians under the age of 40. The recipients are normally announced at the International Congress of Mathematicians. Okay, so they conduct International Congress of Mathematicians, and during that congress, okay, so they announce the Field medals. Okay, so these people have received the Fields medal for their work in different areas of mathematics. Okay, if we talk about that lady, okay, she had worked on how to pack densely in a circular format. Okay, so she has done work on that front. So now let us talk about another article. This article is important under Indian economy, and it is important for the prelims and mains exam. So let us understand about this article. It says, center asks states to boost paddy sowing. paddy means dhan, okay, that leads to the cultivation of rice, okay. Rice means chawal, okay. So central government has asked the state governments to boost the paddy sowing, because like there were reports that like paddy cultivation has gone down, the productivity in paddy has gone down, because people were sowing lesser lesser paddy, okay. So production level has gone down, okay, not the productivity, okay, production level has gone down. So that's why the central government, I mean like there was a meeting of the food ministers from different states and the central food minister, okay. So central food minister has had a meeting with food ministers from different states, and majority of the states have participated, but some of the states have not participated in the meeting. So during the meeting, the central minister, the Minister of Food and Consumer Affairs, so that particular minister has mentioned criticized about the absence of those state ministers who were not present. And during this particular meeting itself, they have told about, the central minister has told about which state is on the top of the implementation of National Food Security Act, okay. So for the implementation of National Food Security Act, the topmost state was Odisha, then it was Uttar Pradesh, I think, and then it was Andhra Pradesh. So these were the top 3 states, right, in the implementation of the National Food Security Act 2013. So let us understand about this article, okay. So what has happened at that particular conference, the Union Minister for Food and Public Distribution, his name is Mr. Piyush Goyal, okay, said that the international demand for rice and wheat had increased, okay. So international demand for rice and wheat has increased, but the production level of rice has gone down. So what has happened, for the implementation of the National Food Security Act, the state governments receive the food crops, like they receive paddy from the central government, but because of the deficiency of paddy with the central government, so they started giving some other varieties, so they started giving something else, okay. So some of the states have said, no, we want paddy only, we don't want gehu or other thing, okay, we want paddy. So meanwhile, the Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat governments are centered not to supply wheat, okay. So in place of paddy, they were being supplied wheat by the central government. So these 2 state governments, like UP government and Gujarat government, they have asked the central government to supply paddy, okay. So this is the thing. Now this article actually helps us to understand what is the situation with the food security in India, okay. Although food security is good, I mean but the thing is, if we see the international data from various organizations, so it is highlighted year on year that India is a country that has highest level of hunger and malnutrition in absolute terms. In absolute terms means, if we talk about the number of people who are hungry, number of people who are malnourished, so it is highest in India, okay. So we need to implement the National Food Security Act robustly, so that people are not affected because of hunger, okay. So that hunger is also a part of this particular thing. We have we used to have millennium development goals, then now we have sustainable development goals that are effective from 2015 to 2030. So one of the goal under sustainable development is no hunger, okay, or zero hunger. So now if we talk about NFSA ranking, National Food Security Act ranking, Odisha secured the first rank for the implementation of the National Food Security Act. Uttar Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh stood second and third respectively in the index. And this National Food Security Act implementation index, it is prepared by the central government, okay. So that's why this article is important, and this will give you an understanding about how how the hunger is being addressed in India. After this, now let us look into another topic. This topic is important for GS paper 3 and it is also important for GS paper 1 and GS paper 2 of social justice or Indian society. So now let us understand about the status of tuberculosis in India. So if we talk about Indian subcontinent is one of those countries, I mean, like, you know, India is one of those countries that has high prevalence of tuberculosis. There can be different types of tuberculosis that people are affected, okay. We have different types of tuberculosis that people are affected with. But like the government of India has been a robust implementer for, you know, eradication of tuberculosis in India. Reduction, eradication and addressing the problems related to tuberculosis. But earlier in 1984, what used to happen is, like, during that time, we used to implement the national food, we used to implement this particular program at a district level, okay, like, you know, for the elimination of tuberculosis. That time it was going fine. But like when we have, you know, taken the things at an upward level from a state or to the central level, then like, you know, the status of implementation has gone down. Now we have, you know, more prevalence of tuberculosis, and tuberculosis has not been affected, tuberculosis has not been addressed at par with like, you know, HIV AIDS. So like people are there, HIV AIDS, like you may also recall that, like, you know, the government of India have had multiple, you know, campaigns to to generate the mass awareness about HIV AIDS and also to eradicate HIV AIDS. But when it comes to tuberculosis, so we don't find as robust, you know, information campaigns from the government of India for the eradication of tuberculosis, okay. So on this front, the government of India has lacked in implementing, you know, tuberculosis. So this article says that tuberculosis is the worst among endemic diseases, which is killing 1.5 million people every year. 1.5 million means 15 lakh people are being killed every year because of tuberculosis itself, okay. Now if we talk about in India, around 1400 persons are dying every day because of TB, because of tuberculosis. So do we have any program in place at this point of time to address the situation of tuberculosis? Yes, we do have a program. The name of the program is Revised National TB Control Program, okay. So we do have a program. This is known as Revised National TB Control Program. In short, it can be said as Revised National TB Control Program, RNTCB, okay, RNTCP. But the thing is, like, there are three major deficiencies in this particular program, okay. So we are going to understand about those three deficiencies that should be addressed, you know, to effectively address the situation or the problem of tuberculosis in India, okay. So before this, let us see some of the important highlights related to this report. So it says in the 1950s and 60s, India was the global leader in research in epidemiology, transmission and domiciliary treatment of TB. So in 1950s and 60s, India was the global leader in research in these areas related to TB. The National TB Control Program of 1962 was a district-based one with public-private participation. So that time, this particular program, which is National TB Control Program, it was a district based and it had a public private participation. But now upscaling the model proved unsuccessful and the program failed to control TB. With that, we lost self-confidence and began doing what we were told to do by the World Health Organization under the revised National TB Control Program, okay. So after then, what we have done, we have started following what the World Health Organization had to say. So we have implemented revised National TB Control Program. But this particular revised National TB Control Program is not effective enough because of three major deficiencies. So we are going to understand about those three major deficiencies in this article, okay. So now let us see, what are those deficiencies, okay, what are those deficiencies in addressing the prevalence of tuberculosis in India, okay. So the first deficiency is that this particular program is now heavily funded by the government, but funding by the government is not a deficiency. Let us discuss about what is this particular thing. So as of now, the method of monitoring the trajectory of TB control, okay, means like how do we control the TB, tuberculosis, right? We should have a proper mechanism in place to do the surveillance, to understand about how TB is being controlled or being monitored. So as of now, we do not have that particular thing in place. Earlier we used to have it under the public private partnership in the the act that we used to have in 1962, but under the revised act, the World Health Organization has asked India to do away with the monitoring process for the control of TB. So after then, we do not have effective monitoring practices in place. So we do not have proper data that how well the TB is TB as a disease is being addressed. But if we contrast this with the National AIDS Control Program, okay, so we used to have the National AIDS Control Organization, okay. National AIDS Control Organization was established, and the Indian Council of Medical Research managed AIDS Control Task Force, and it had a unique method for monitoring the control trajectory. And that particular control trajectory was known as sentinel surveillance, okay. We used to have sentinel surveillance in case of AIDS control program, but we earlier used to have the monitoring process for TB control program, but now we do not have it. So this is one of the flaw. What we need to do, we need to have a robust mechanism in place that can actually conduct proper surveillance, so that we can see the trajectory, how well the TB is being addressed in India. After this, let us understand about the second flaw in this particular thing. The assumption that treating pulmonary TB, pulmonary means something that has to do with the lungs. Lungs in Hindi is known as फेफड़े, okay. So now Indian government assumes that treating pulmonary TB patients alone would control TB was epidemiologically fallacious in India. Now the government of India has assumed that if we address just one type of TB, okay, it is going to address the problem of TB in India, okay. So that thing was fallacious, okay. The theoretical principle is source reduction, okay. But if one patient is the proximate source of infection and disease to another in the community, early diagnosis and treatment would work as a source reduction, okay. So instead of this, the government of India has assumed that if we do the if we properly implement in reducing the pulmonary TB, so it is going to address the problem of TB. But the thing is, TB is something that is communicable disease, okay. So if one person is affected, then the person who is near to that, they may also get affected. So in this article they have said that early diagnosis and treatment would work as a source reduction. So we have to diagnose early, okay, so that we can address this particular problem. India is a high burden country, okay. We have a high burden of TB, okay. Large proportion of adults carry TB infection in the lung in a dormant condition for life, okay. So majority of the population, many people, large proportion of adults, okay, in India, they have latent TB. Latent TB means they have TB, but it is in dormant condition. But this dormant condition may become predominant also. Some among them deteriorate and develop overt TB disease, okay, which is known as reactivation TB. HIV infection, diabetes, undernutrition, lung damage due to pollution, tobacco smoking, fall in immune functions due to chronic diseases, alcoholism, etc. accelerate reactivation TB, okay. So now they are saying that like although like adults may have latent TB, but like other conditions, other health condition may lead to reactivation TB to happen, and those conditions are HIV infection, diabetes, undernutrition, lung damage due to pollution, tobacco smoking. Okay, so these things may lead to chronic disease. Okay, or like alcoholism, they may lead to reactivation of TB. Okay, they may lead to reactivation of TB. Now let us understand like what is the third flaw, what is the third problem with the revised national TB control program. Now they are saying that revised national TB control program has failed to elicit people's partnership in TB control. In India's AIDS control program, public education was given high priority. Okay, so like we know that like in schools also, like there used to be people who used to come with red ribbon. They used to like educate people that like how to avoid HIV. Like what is HIV means, like like there was widespread awareness generation program by the government for eradication or elimination of HIV AIDS. But the thing is, when it comes to TB, we do not have mass public participation. Why? Because like we have invested less in generating awareness programs. Okay, for awareness programs in generating awareness among people. Okay, so these are the three problems that are there with this, with the existing revised national TB control program. So emboldened by the promise of an effective strategy, the Prime Minister announced in 2018 that India would eliminate TB by the year 2025. Okay. Epidemiologically, human mastery over microbes include control, elimination and eradication. Okay. So now here they have told us about like what do we mean by control, what do we mean by elimination, and what do we mean by eradication. Okay, so you can read about these definitions in your free time. So that's all that that we had to understand about the TB program. TB means the tuberculosis related program that the government of India has in place to address the prevalence of tuberculosis in India. So thank you so much everyone for attending this session today. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.